This is Minimalish. I'm your host, Desirae, and before we get started, let me be clear. This podcast isn't just about minimalism. It's a podcast about living fully. Over the past few years, I've learned that living with a little less in our homes and on our calendars leads to less cluttering up our minds, which simply helps give us the space to give our time and thoughts to the things that actually matter. So what do we talk about on here? We talk about minimalism and decluttering and how to get there, yes. But we also have conversations about pursuing intentionality in the things that matter, like our motherhood, faith, relationships, work, and mindset. Minimalish is a podcast for the women committed to contentment and loving the life in front of them, committed to living with a little less so they can create space for the things that matter most. What it's not about, how many spoons you should have, or any kind of rules or legalistic minimalism that promises you'll be happier if you just get rid of more stuff. Getting rid of stuff isn't what will make you happy. It's about the life you live with the new space you find. If that sounds good to you, grab a mug of whatever you like and stick around. I'm so grateful you're here. Hey friend, I'm your host, Desirae. This is episode 72, and this week I've got our monthly Q&A for you, where my friend Catherine joins us, and Catherine and I just talk through some questions that you've all asked us. I usually put that question box for those questions out on Instagram, so if you're wondering where I get these questions from, that's usually where. This month we're focusing on healthy living, so fitness, eating. In January, many of us were gung-ho about this, right? Many of us kind of set New Year's resolutions, and I just figure that by the end of February, our motivation may be waning. So with that said, I find this topic extremely important. I find it important to talk about. I've always found it interesting. It's one of the topic of conversations that I have with most of my friends when I'm sitting down for a coffee date. I just think it's important to take care of our bodies by thinking about how we move our bodies and what we put into our bodies. With that said, I'm certainly not an expert, and neither is Catherine. We're sharing our personal experiences and our personal journeys. We mentioned a lot of resources today, which are all linked in the show notes. You can actually find those at DesiraeUses.com/minimalish/72, or you can just find them in the description wherever you are currently listening to this podcast. But this topic does take work and even research from us. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all way to simplify it. And although we are going to discuss how we can simplify these topics, mostly today is just a conversation on Catherine and I's health journeys and what works for us, and answering your questions and what we think can help you as well. Obviously, everyone is different. This is a very personal topic, but I just am excited to chat with you all about it. So without further ado, let's get to today's episode. Okay, so we are going to chat about healthy living and just health and fitness in general. This was a topic we got a question on last month. This month we took more questions. We're doing a more themed Q&A. I feel like we both have been, but Catherine is really you've been diving into just a whole new way of eating and living with a focus on health. So I'm excited to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's been a good little mini journey for me. It's very fresh, very new, but current. So I feel like it's really good to talk about since it's real life right now.
Before I move on and forget to say this, I wanted to note that we are not experts in any of this, but we both talked before this, and we both come from the perspective of just regular, ordinary people that care about their health and that have tried a lot of things that have and have not worked. So I feel like we've explored this, both of us on our own, and we have a lot of perspectives to share, but don't take our advice as expert on anything that would affect your health. So
exactly.
Okay, let's then dive into our main questions. The first one, which we'll approach, is just this idea of how do we do fitness, basically. And what I want to talk about before that, because I think that this deserves a backstory, this topic, at least I feel like for a lot of people, it's just there's a background, there's a history that is involved here. So I want to talk about our story with health and just fitness in general. What has this looked like for you? You know, they say your health journey or whatever. What has that looked like for you?
It's been such a back and forth sort of thing. So before I got married, And even when I was, newly married and that stuff, I was extremely fit. Like I grew up playing sports. I played soccer and field hockey, and I swam. I was a lifeguard throughout college and graduate school. And so I always stayed fit in some way. And it was very easy to stay fit because it was just always incorporated into my life. And then when I lived in Colorado during undergrad, I was dirt poor and ate very clean food because it's what I could afford. I ate like boiled chicken and spinach and rice. And, I spent $32, $34 every single week on groceries. Like it was insane. So staying fit was not like this big thorn in my side back then. Whereas after I had a baby, it had become this thorn in my side of this arduous, looming task of how am I going to get not necessarily my body back, but how am I going to have, in essence, any sort of healthy lifestyle, and not even just look fit, but be able to be fit, if that makes sense. So I've always had PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I didn't realize I had it until college, graduate school maybe. I kind of knew what was going on, but I didn't get diagnosed until before Owen was born. So there are a lot of layers to my fitness journey. IBS has also contributed to that. So my body in and of itself does not function the way it should. And I have a lot of bloating, irregular body functions, if you will, irregular cycles. And so my hormones pretty much wreak havoc on my body, but it wasn't as noticeable until after I had a baby. So before having a baby, I could run. I used to run all the time too. I would run like 4 to 6 miles every day or a couple times a week. And after I had a baby, and maybe you felt like this too, my body just stopped functioning. It stopped being able to perform the way it used to. And that was really defeating for me. Basically, Owen will be 3 in May. So it has been such a struggle since then. And I have tried many different formats of staying healthy. Like I mentioned, I did a Whole30 program. I lost 9 pounds and several inches, but I gained it all back pretty quickly. I tried a boot camp form of exercise, which is a class. I tried running. I tried a lot of different avenues, trying to do home workouts, all kinds of things, and nothing really stuck. I am a perpetual quitter. When something is hard, I stop. But my journey after motherhood, everything felt hard. It felt hard to occupy my kid while I worked out. It felt hard to do the workouts. It felt hard to make good diet choices. Everything was hard. So I kind of got to a point where I just quit trying. That point was, I guess, maybe like a year ago. We had some stuff go down in my marriage that was hard, and moving a lot and things like that. So just compiled with it being hard and going through hard circumstances, I just was like, well, this is not for me. I'm never going to be that mom that's in shape. I'm going to feel tired all the time. And this is just my lot in life. This is how I guess it's going to be. And it got to the point where I was feeling so terrible in my body, and not in the form of I don't like the way it looks. It's I cannot function. I was tired, napping all the time. I had headaches. I was getting numbness and tingling, just certain symptoms that were very abnormal and bizarre for me. My period was all over the place, which it was just really scary because I never knew if I was pregnant or not, which I never was. So you can imagine like the anxiety when your body starts doing things it's not supposed to, how difficult it is to function day to day while raising a toddler. There were some mornings I wouldn't want to get out of bed. I knew I needed to make a change, but my heart and mind was not ready to change. And I think you have to, and I've said this before, you have to come to the end of yourself to make any changes. And that's how I was with my minimalism journey and my shopping habits. I had to come to that point with my body and fitness journey. I had to be fully sick of the way things were to try something new. So yeah, I understand the struggle.
Yeah. For you, it was a natural part of you for a while. And then after having babies, everything changed. And I feel like mine's kind of opposite, which I'm happy about that we're both coming from different places because, I mean, it's not opposite as in after baby, it didn't get easier. It's just always, I've never been an athlete. I'm the most uncoordinated person in the world. I'm super unathletic. That's just always who I've been. And I was trying to reflect on this and think about, I think these days I'm just trying to shift habits that have been with me since I was literally a child. I don't know. I can remember 6, 7, 8 years old, maybe not wanting to go outside and play. I just wanted to sit around. I don't know why. I was just such a sedentary kid. I think I have a low energy personality, so that's part of it. But, we're not meant to do that. We're not meant to not move. So I was not loved moving my body. I've not loved working out. I have not been athletic. I tried all the sports. I didn't like any of them. And it's funny because I married the opposite of me, and he is a phys ed teacher and,
a
wrestling coach. And he always is moving. So anyways, I definitely grew up in a household where physical fitness was such a strange dynamic. Like there was obesity, and then there was also my dad who obsessive about his health because his dad died of a heart attack, and so he became obsessive about health. And so even though that is a good thing, I've operated out of a mindset of fear of disease on either side, of obesity, or of all of the different things that come from either side. So and I've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, but I've never had to have treatment for it because it kind of went into remission. And around college, when I was dating Nick, I started to think, all right, should I move my body somehow? And in high school, I would walk with my friend all the time. So I found ways all along, basically, that I would enjoy. I would find these ways that I would enjoy moving my body. And then through college, I never really had a problem. It was part of an obsessive part of me that said, I do not want to gain the freshman 15, so I'm going to do everything in my power not to. And I ate healthy, and I would walk a lot, basically. But I never liked working out, and I don't really think working out is necessary as long as you're moving. You have to really be moving a lot. But I found ways that I enjoyed doing it. And my wedding definitely motivated me. I found strength training, and I absolutely loved it. But through the beginning of my marriage, I had my husband motivating me. I was never the person who's in the gym 5 days a week or anything like that. But once I had Gemma, again, it's like your body's destroyed, and you have to find strength again. So that has been a struggle for me, pretty much in a very similar way to you since then, to where I just had to come to a point where I realized that I just wasn't moving enough. And I think that is where I'm at now. And that's not the only problem. I mean, I've had to really shift my mindset, and I'm still working on that, of not being, it doesn't have to be an obsession. It doesn't have to be, I don't know. I feel like a lot of my mindsets were just negative towards it. It's either I'm all in or I'm complaining about why I can't do it, And so, there's a whole other side of that deals with food. But I've always been really proactive about food and cared about it. But then I'll fall off the wagon and just be like, well, eating toast all day would be easier because I'm so tired. So it's a lot of back and forth for me. Right now, I can't say that I'm, on the other side of that or anything, but I am just working on the mindset shifts that all go into it and working on consistency, and that's where I'm at. So let's talk about this question of how do you stay fit? So how do you stay fit, Catherine? What does that look like for you now?
And it's funny because it's like, I don't consider myself fit right now, but I guess I'm working towards being back there. And in my mind, staying fit, the definition of staying fit has changed so much since, becoming a mom. And before I was a mother, staying fit meant being an athlete. It meant performing at maximum strength, maximum reps, lifting heavy, running far distances. And now staying fit is being healthy so that I can get up every day and take care of my child, because I was truly at a point where I was not functioning well. And so I like I want people to understand that staying fit doesn't have to look like anything. Your body doesn't have to perform well or look fit or anything to be fit. I think it's just maintaining health in a way that you are mentally strong and physically strong to do whatever your body needs to do to get through the day. So right now, I am doing the Faster Way to Fat Loss. It is a program based on intermittent fasting with carb cycling and macro counting. And that has helped me lose 14.5 inches. I only have lost 5 pounds, but I've learned that the scale is a liar. So I no longer pay attention to the scale. Basically, how my clothes fit, how do I feel? Like I've said before, am I, bloated? Am I tired? Am I low energy? That sort of thing. So the Faster Way has helped me get back to a point of being motivated to do things again. Because when you are unhealthy, you are more susceptible to depression and anxiety, and you can end up staying there for a long period of time and just being stuck. So this program has helped me get unstuck to a path that I can continue on for the long term. That program has helped my eating habits, and I think the eating habits has truly changed my body, not necessarily all the working out that am doing or have been doing. It's really just been the eating plan, staying gluten-free, dairy-free, and limiting my alcohol intake, and all the way that they design the program really gives you the mindset of staying fit so that, again, you can live a long, healthy life and fight disease and prevent problems and things like that. So, but I had to get into the mindset first. And I can say that my shopping habit, when I was trying to eliminate that, I think it transferred over to eating. I think I was using food as a coping mechanism, and I had developed a really bad relationship with food. I would use it to comfort. I would use it when I was lonely. I would use it when I was stressed with Owen. And food is readily available in your house. I mean, you can just stand there and watch your kid play and just eat a sleeve of crackers or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think I, in some way, had transferred my urge to shop and spend money and decorate in my house to just eating mindlessly. And I really had to change my heart and my soul about it and look in the mirror and say, Catherine, you're using a coping mechanism that's not doing anything for you. And so this program has given me discipline and looking at my food choices and realizing that not all calories are created equal, not all food is created equal. And I was fueling my body in a way that was unhealthy and I wasn't able to do what I need to do. So now I feel like I'm fueling it in the right way, but my heart and my mind had to change first. So staying fit, I think at its core is a mindset for sure. So
yeah. And would you say that, like, it's for you, the focus is on, you said the focus is kind of on the nutrition, and then how often, just because I feel like people want to know this, but do you work out like 4 or 5 days a week? Do you go to the gym? What do you do?
The program, you can work out as much as you want. The program does want you to work out if you're capable, 5 or 6 days a week. And I have had to come to terms with I just can't feasibly get to the gym that often. I really don't want to work out at home, which we can talk about in a second. But I think I do about 3 or 4 days of working out, and that is enough for me and my body type. And with PCOS, you're not supposed to just overdo it. So I really love to strength train. Lifting weights, I do it with my husband, and together we push each other, and it is so empowering for me. I love lifting weights. I'm not running anymore. I'm not swimming anymore. I'm not jumping around anymore, but I'm strength training and doing what I can 3 or 4 days a week. And that feels enough. It's only about 45 minutes. They are really just a great release of anxiety for me now, which and giving me something to work on, like a goal to work on that I haven't had in a while. So that's how much I work out realistically.
Yeah. I think that is kind of similar to where I'm at. I am trying to move my body every day. That's kind of how I stay fit. And I mean, a lot of how I stay fit with the past, I mean, ever since having Gemma, my weight has fluctuated. I've done things where I've lost 10 pounds and then like it will fluctuate back. I mean, I'm not fit necessarily, but I think that it's come out of fear, which is so not healthy. So I operate out of fear when it comes to health a lot. And I have been working on trying to operate out of love. So kind of like you were saying, it's a mindset shift. And I've been trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this in a way that makes me happy? Because I operate out of fear, which means I haven't worked out consistently or kept with the program, but I will work out 1 to 2 days a week, probably my last 5 years of my life, unless I am doing something consistent, but I'll kind of fall off the wagon and then I'll kind of get myself into, okay, I have to at least work out today, or I have to at least do this. And it's just so miserable because I'm so unhappy doing it. And I'm just searching for something. I'm searching for the next best program or searching for this, or what should I do today? What will I do that I actually enjoy? And so operating out of fear, I probably wasn't internally healthy because I'm not consistently caring for my body. So that's what I'm working on, is just how do I operate out of love and how do I make this something that I enjoy so that it can be a lifestyle and actually part of my life. And I'm not just skating by because I'm operating out of fear and moving my body once or twice a week and then eating a donut on Monday and then eating a salad the next day and then eating like 3 more donuts for the rest of the week. Because I wouldn't say I struggle with disordered eating or anything to that level, but it's just so inconsistent and not a healthy mindset around it. So lately I've been focusing on just eating real food, eating whole foods, and trying to cook more and get more creative and enjoy that. So shift my mindset about that and then shift my mindset about working out, because I do feel happiest when I am consistently working out, or at least moving my body, like at least taking a long walk that day in some way. So not that there's never a break from either a long walk, which is not, some people might not call that a workout. I definitely think it's great physical activity.
Oh, absolutely.
And it can be super healthy for you.
Yeah.
And then I like to do strength training as well. So I'm using an app right now called Alive. I've only been using that for about 3 weeks, but it's probably one of my favorite programs that I've used in a while. I used to use these free programs on bodybuilding.com a long time ago that I actually really enjoyed. So if I can find those, I'll link them if anybody wants.
Which ones you're talking about. Are they like in a sheet and they like have a couple of different workouts listed, and then you just kind of, I think I know which ones you're talking about.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right. I did them so long ago, but I really liked them. I feel like that's the last time I really liked it, a workout. I used to do CrossFit because my husband really wanted to do it, and I just did not like it. So not to say any, like, CrossFit's great, but I've pushed myself into so many things, feeling like this is what fitness is supposed to look like.
Right. And it felt like punishment. It's punishment when you work too hard and then you don't want to do it. And then it becomes that fear mentality of like, if I don't do it to this level, I will never be fit. Well, can't do these things and they're too hard for me. So this is punishment, and it's just puts you in a really bad cycle of what being fit means or what working out means. And I've had to come to terms with that. That's not what it's about. It's about doing what you can, what's good for your body, however that looks, Yeah.
And so I just think that is, if we want to simplify this idea of being fit, I think it does it's like a holistic thing. There has to be a healthy mindset around it. And it has to be about just, what are the basics? Like, what is our body supposed to do? I mean, food is supposed to be fuel for our body, but we're also supposed to enjoy it. I mean, I think that there's a reason why we enjoy food. So some people really do well with restriction. I don't. I have to have a balance, but I have to focus on, am I fueling my body well? And when I am, I'm happier, I feel better, and I'm better for the people around me. And then with fitness, it's the same thing. If I focus on the fact that, okay, when I go, we have a home gym, which is great. It's not like really fancy, but it's something that we invested in when we bought our house. So we at least have some kind of functional things down there. And we also got a free treadmill, which was great from a friend. That was amazing.
Awesome.
That was a great find. But either way, I focus my mind on lately, and this is the only way I've been able to be consistent, which is only over the past month. So I don't want to act like, well, I've been doing this for a year, but I've been focusing my mind on how I'm going to feel when I go down there. And as long as I'm not forcing myself to do burpees or other things I hate.
Yeah. Same.
As long as I'm not forcing myself into the things I do not like, I'm going to feel great while I'm doing it. I put on music that I love. I don't like typical workout music, but I used to feel like I needed to find the right workout.
Oh my gosh, I know. Or the right clothes that don't do it. And it becomes this whole thing of like, I have to be something or someone to be fit. And that is not what it's about. And I think that's what I've learned the most is that I can stay in my lane. I can be Catherine. I can look whatever I look like and still come to the table and do the workout or you know, show up for myself and eat. It is all about just showing up for yourself as you are and finding what fits your lifestyle. And it's really turned into this big production that it doesn't need to be. And I think I had built it up so much in my mind of that I need to be someone or be something to be fit. And I've had to eliminate that mindset that, no, I'm taking care of the body that I was given so that I can be present for the people that I've been given, you know?
Yeah. And I think what's interesting too is that when you say it like that too, it's just fitness doesn't even look a certain way on everyone's body.
Yeah. Right.
Like, there are so many accounts out there that, yeah, sure, I'm going to look at someone like the person who creates the app that I use. What's her name? Whitney Simmons. Her body is amazing. I could look at her and think that's what fitness looks like, but most likely I will never look like that. And that's fine because our bodies are different. Plus, that's her job. I mean, you have to think of that. And I think that gets so discouraging in the fitness world is just we see other people who are doing this as their job or that's just, it comes, not to say it comes naturally or it's genetics to them. I don't want to like downplay that they work hard, but it's about what do you want to put into this? For me, I'm not going to be in the gym for hours or eat absolutely perfectly. So I'm never going to look like that. And that's okay. Fitness doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't look a certain way. All body types are different and it's more about how you feel.
Exactly.
Okay. So we had a question about home workouts as well, about easy at-home workouts, getting creative at home because they don't have the option to go to the gym. So for me, I do that. I do work out at home, but I do have some equipment, so that's helpful. But when I didn't have equipment, I actually don't like the gym. I feel like our perspectives are opposite on this. I don't like the gym, but I haven't always had a home gym, but when I grew up, I had a home gym as well. So I've always been working out at home. So when I didn't have a home gym, I would do Pilates and things like that. I think her name is Blogilates or Pop Pilates or something. I did that. That was one of the first. Right. Yeah, that was one of the first home workouts I did, and I loved it. Beachbody has a whole platform that's amazing. And then some of their workouts require no equipment. Heather Robertson is a person that I've recently found on YouTube, and she has free workouts that are, a lot of them are no equipment as well. So the thing about a lot of non-equipment workouts are HIIT, high intensity interval training. I do not like high intensity interval training. That's hard, but there's also like Pilates and all of that I do enjoy that. So it's about what you enjoy and just searching because there's free stuff. There are apps that you pay a low monthly fee. Beachbody on demand is pretty inexpensive. So there's so many options. Another thing I wanted to note too, with at-home workouts or just like being at home is just prioritize movement. If finding a workout and all of that overwhelms you because it's almost like there are too many resources. Right. And you try something and then you don't like it and then you have to start over and it can get a lot. So if you can get outside and take a walk, even if it's cold, an object in motion stays in motion. And I feel like that's so true for me. If I start my day kind of just like sitting down with Gemma in the morning and
you get stuck.
I don't know. Yeah, I just get stuck. So I have just this week, I've been finding little toddler yoga videos or family workout videos and throwing those on in the morning. And we both do them. And again, it's kind of a mess, but it's just something to get me moving and it engages her. And that's not my workout because I do not want to like do yoga to ducks quacking, but it's just something that gets me moving a little bit. So there's just move, I would say, is find ways to creatively move. And that's kind of enough to start, I think.
Exactly. And listen to your body. Some days your hormones, especially as women, are going to fluctuate, and you might think that you have the energy to do this intense workout when really your body's telling you, like you said, just move, go on a walk or do some yoga or do something gentle. Listening to your body does not mean you're quitting on a workout. It just means that you're reinventing how you're going to do it. And, there are a lot of ways, like you said, to incorporate movement into your daily life. We have a dog, and so we walk our dog. And even though we stop a million times because my toddler wants to pick up a leaf or, I don't know, whatever else, he looks at every single car, and it still is getting out there. So just listen to your body and be gentle with yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself to do or accomplish something, but movement will always end up making you feel better, I think.
I hope you're enjoying Catherine and I's conversation, but I'm taking a quick break to talk to you about the sponsors that are helping make today's show possible. Did you know that many conventional deodorants contain aluminum, which actually plugs up your sweat glands and keeps you from sweating? That can't be safe, right? Native's deodorant is made without aluminum, so you can feel better about what you're putting on your body. Native has literally 9,000 5-star reviews. Their deodorants are formulated without aluminum, parabens, and talc. They're filled with ingredients that you can actually pronounce and understand, and their products have free shipping and returns, and they work. I've tried out other natural deodorants. Nothing works like Native. I love that I don't have to reapply throughout the day. It even keeps me smelling good throughout my workouts, and it just keeps working all day. Native is also excited about the relaunch of their toothpaste line. Most natural toothpaste feel like natural toothpaste. They're gritty. There's little to no foaming, there's limited freshening power, and Native's toothpaste use a special blend of naturally derived cleansers, flavors, and whiteners to deliver a great brushing experience. They have 2 minty flavors with the option of fluoride or fluoride-free. For 20% off your first purchase, visit nativedeodorant.com and use promo code minimalish20 during checkout. That's 20% off your first purchase at nativedeodorant.com with promo code minimalish20 at checkout. I also want to tell you about Sunbasket, because doing weekly meal prep is worth the work when we're trying to live a healthier lifestyle, but of course, it does take a lot of time. Sunbasket is here to help you with that. They have delicious recipes for all kinds of dietary preferences, including paleo, gluten-free, Mediterranean, vegetarian, and more. And they make it easy and convenient with everything pre-portioned and ready to prep and cook. You can enjoy a dinner full of organic produce, clean ingredients in as little as 15 minutes, no matter how much experience you have in the kitchen. And each week, Sunbasket offers at least 14 recipes to choose from. So you can try mouth-watering dishes such as salmon burgers with lemon dill mayo and gingered steak stir-fry with broccoli. They even have delicious options for on-the-go breakfast, lunch, snacks, and more, so you can make sure a busy schedule doesn't get in the way of healthy eating. Sunbasket delivers straight to your door. You can order from any recipes across their menu, skip a week whenever you need to, or double up on recipes for company. Right now, Sunbasket is offering $35 off your order when you go to sunbasket.com/minimalish and enter promo code minimalish at checkout. That's sunbasket.com/minimalish and promo code minimalish at checkout for $35 off your order. All right, friend, let's get back to today's episode. Okay, so we kind of covered this, and this was actually my own question because I wanted to make sure that this is actionable for people. So if someone who's listening to this doesn't love working out or has just had a hard time getting consistent, what would you say are some action steps just based out of what your journey has been like recently?
I think we really need to find out what our body type is and what our hormones are telling us, because I thought that certain intense workouts were what going to fix my body and help me get in shape, when in reality, the more and more I became educated on PCOS and certain conditions like your Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, there are workouts that you should not be doing for your cortisol levels. And there are certain workouts that will ultimately impacts your body to a point where you might end up storing fat and accomplishing the opposite of what you wanted to do. So I think you need to really research your body type and understand what is going to actually work for your body, because when you start doing that, you'll love the workout that you're doing because you won't feel terrible afterwards and it won't feel like a punishment. So you need to become an expert at your own body, understand what workouts are actually going to help you either lose weight or stay fit. And then find your threshold of what your body can tolerate. My body can't tolerate jumping around and doing burpees, and I shouldn't be raising my cortisol or else I'll store fat. So those workouts I don't even enjoy anymore because they're just too hard for me. And then there's also, as a mother, I have diastasis recti where my abs have separated from giving birth. I can't do crunches and planks and things like that. And so I used to think that those would get me in shape, but they don't. They're actually not good for my body. So if you're not loving your workouts, then maybe you need to research what's going on with your body that you could find the workouts that would actually help your body, and then you might end up loving them.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that, just this idea that fitness does not look one way. I think that not that that's an action step, but just fix your mindset about it. If it's something that you don't love, shift your mindset. And another mindset shift that has really helped me with working out is the idea of can't versus won't, which I recently read in Marie Forleo's book, Everything is Figureoutable, but also have heard it several other times, of just this idea of if we're saying that we can't do something, if we're saying I can't find time to work out, I can't cook healthy meals, which is what we're going to get into here in a second, too hard, I just can't do it, I don't have the time. The idea is to shift that word of can't into won't, and it doesn't sound like a very gentle thing to say. It is kind of real talk and a little bit of tough love to do to yourself. And there are situations where, there are, obviously we all have different circumstances, and there are situations where, our life has seasons where it's harder. But for me, I realized I was saying I can't find time to do at-home workouts, or I can't do this, I can't do that. But really, it's just that I won't find time, it's just that simple shift of that word. And the thing is that if you say it like that, if you say, I won't find time to work out, and you're okay with that, okay. If you're okay with the fact that you are making that choice, that you will not find time because it's hard, and that's just the choice you're making because you don't want to do that hard thing, then fine. But if you don't feel okay with it, and that's where I had to come down to is say, okay, I won't find time to work out today. I don't feel good about that. Yeah. I don't feel happy with that decision because I want to make a better decision and love my body better. So then I've put myself from victim to someone who has ownership over my time and my day and my choices. So that's just something that has kind of helped me actually make that choice. Even if I don't absolutely love working out, it's just given me more ownership over what am I going to do about that? Does that make sense?
I love that, because it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, is like the can't is like a very gray area. It's very gray mentality. Can't can mean a lot of different things, but won't is very a black and white, all or nothing kind of thinking. And it puts you in this choice of like, well, will you or won't you? And if you, like you said, if you're not okay with won't, then you have to do something about it. So I think it forces you to do something, rather can't, like you said, makes you helpless. Makes you feel like you're helpless, but you're not. So I like that.
So we're going to move into talking about food briefly. We already talked about meal prep on last month's episode. So we shared just some of what we do there. So you can go back and listen to that if you want. But we felt that some of these questions about food, which when I asked about questions about health and fitness, most of them were about food. So we felt that some of them obviously applied because our nutrition is so important. So while last month we talked about prepping food, this month we're going to focus a little bit on nutrition and not necessarily give you literal advice on what you should be eating because we are not nutritionists. But this is a question that I got. How do we navigate whole food eating and supplements and vitamins when there are so many options? And do you take supplements or do you just eat whole healthy foods?
Right. So this question, I think, is so varied and dependent upon your body type. And I think the reason that I can stick to my eating plan and pretty much have eaten the same way, but in different formats, I guess, throughout my life, is because I'm an expert on my body. I'm an expert on what my hormones are telling me. I'm an expert on how my body stores fat. I'm an expert on my energy levels. I have tracked a lot of different things to narrow down what my body needs to feel well. And so for me, navigating whole foods and supplements are kind of necessary for me to function well. And I'm sure maybe you understand this with Hashimoto's too. When you have a hormone imbalance or a thyroid problem, or there are physical symptoms involved in your body that affect your daily living, like your fatigue and things like that, then whole food eating is a necessary part of treatment almost. And it's not just because you want to eat that way, it's because you have to feel well. And there are certain things that your body needs that food and medicine cannot always give you. And so that's where the supplements and the vitamins come in. And together, holistically, your body is being fed what it needs to function. So that is my long-winded thing, is how do I navigate it? Well, I do it because my body is telling me I need to do that. So the first way that I was set up to whole food eat is I did a Whole30 program, which is very intense and extreme, but it will teach you, it's a very useful tool to teach you to look at ingredients. And that is the first step in understanding whole foods, is looking at ingredients and looking at what are fillers, what are sugar alcohols, what is processed, and things like that. So the rule in the Faster Way program is, does it come from a mother or the ground? And so there are very simple ways of looking at ingredients and understanding if it's a whole food. So I've had to come a long way to figure out exactly what my body needs. And as for supplements and vitamins, I do collagen protein. That is helping me hit my macros, which is something the Faster Way does. And then as far as whole food, I eat gluten-free, dairy-free. I have a protein powder that I can add into a smoothie. And for me, sometimes drinking whole foods is a lot easier than making a whole meal. So I will throw a bunch of stuff into a smoothie, and it's a lot easier to drink it down as a mom than sit there and eat. And then I have needed to add a probiotic to my diet because I'm just irregular. I have a lot of gut problems. All of these things you need to read the labels for and know what you're putting into your body. And then I was seeing a counselor for about a year and telling her how tired I was. We were trying to navigate whether or not that was depression or health problems, but she gave me advice on supplements called D3K2, which they're drops, and you can get them on Amazon, and they help vitamin D3 and K2, I believe is potassium. And so, those help with your energy levels, and I just take one of those and I'm energized. So I feel like it's such a hard thing to answer about how to navigate it for somebody else, because it is so tailored and individual to the person. But I think the first way to do it is start tracking your body. Like, when are you feeling bloated throughout the day? What foods make you feel bloated? When are you tired? When are you craving food? When are you reaching for alcohol? When are you wanting to eat sugary foods? Is it emotional? Is it physical? Is it mental? What are your things? And just start tracking. That's the best way that I came to realize exactly what my body needed.
Yeah, I think that is just kind of the most important answer to this question. Is it's going to be different for everyone, and navigating it does take time. And I do think this is something worth spending time on. I think that our culture at large really undermines the importance of food and nutrition and what we're putting into our bodies. I mean, whenever we are looking at how can we spend the very least on food. We need to feed our bodies and fuel our bodies. And now it's just like, how can I spend the very least on this? How can I have my grocery budget the lowest as possible?
Yes, right.
And it's not that that's bad. I mean, I understand it. And we look to lower our grocery budget too, because it can also get out of hand. I mean, there's so many flashy labels and different ways to eat. But I do think that this is worth spending time on. I think it's worth spending money on. And I think it's worth also knowing that there is a lot of marketing and advertising that's going to want you to buy things because, you know, it's a vulnerable subject, because we want to get healthy. We want to make sure we're putting the right things in our body, especially if we're in that place where we're searching for that. It's really easy to fall into spending a ton of money and buying the next best thing. But at the same time, there's a thin line, but it's important to spend time here and do research. And I can't 100% say that I know what my body needs. And I mean, I felt better with less dairy and less gluten in my diet as well, but I don't always do that. So I kind of try to pay attention to how I'm feeling. But something that I've been taking consistently that really helps me and helps my mood is ashwagandha. And I think it's an herb that can help with just anxiety and boost your mood and everything. So that's just something that I take. And I use protein powder that has no crazy additives and is from grass-fed cows. So that works for me as well. But everyone's going to be different with this. And it's hard because it is overwhelming, to be honest. It is. And whenever I want to look into a new supplement, I spend a long time researching it. Yeah. But I just think it's a worthy place to spend time.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when you were saying getting grocery budgets down and all this stuff, it's not a good deal if it's not good for your body and not suited for your body. And because it is so tailored, what works for one person might not work for another. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's hard. It really is. So the last question that we are going to talk about, I feel like wraps this all up really well. And just this idea of how do you feel healthier and, you know, make healthy choices without feeling deprived?
For me, a bad relationship with food is deprivation. I think oftentimes when we think about eating healthy, we think we're going to be deprived. But for me, I feel more chained to bad things when I feel terrible because I'm not eating well. So for a long time, my bad relationship with food really kept me from feeling good. And so now that I've found a better relationship with food, I feel like I actually have freedom. I have freedom to make good choices. I have freedom to have more energy to go hang out with my son and be in a better mood for my husband. And so I think that's something you have to really come to understanding your body, like I've said before, and understanding that indulging is not going to totally stop your progress. It doesn't have to be this all or nothing, and you don't have to be so restrictive that you feel miserable. But I think finding a good relationship with food will give you freedom, and you really need to explore what that looks like for you. Stay in your lane when it comes to finding the right diet plan for you. What works and is healthy for some other person may not suit you. For me, I wish I could eat gluten and dairy and sugar and all these things and still maintain a healthy physique or whatever and still be energized. I see people indulging in these awesome foods that I wish I could eat, or I wish I could eat spicy food. But the thing is, my body just doesn't tolerate certain things. So I don't feel deprived in that way. I just feel like this is not good for my body, and I need to acknowledge that and just come to terms with the body I've been given. So I think we can really feel negative about what health means, but you really can turn it around and say, actually, what's going to give me freedom in the way that I feel?
Right. I think that's so interesting because the idea of being deprived, like a lot of the typical American foods or like the standard American diet deprives our bodies of nutrition and deprives our bodies of what they need. And that's why there's so much disease and so many problems. So with that said, some people do work better with more stringent approach to the way that they eat. I personally feel less deprived if I allow myself to have something that I if I have a sweet tooth and I give myself the freedom to make that choice, but I'm making choices that are good for my body along the way. Does that make sense? Putting first to care for myself and care for my body by eating whole foods. And then I can, because I'm making that choice the majority of the time, the 10, 20% of the time that I want to indulge, it's not going to be an issue. It's not going to affect me. That's not how my relationship with food always is, but it's always what I kind of aim for, is just that kind of 80, if you've heard of the 80-20 mindset of 80% making the best choices for your body that you can, and then 20% letting yourself indulge. I mean, we often will have a pizza night once a week, and that's just something that, it's not the healthiest, but at the same time, if I am going to care for my body, then I need to eat like 1 to 2 pieces of pizza and have a salad if I'm still hungry. It's because that can still become a problem. It really can, especially with disordered eating, and especially if I know that I can fall into the mindset where having a pizza night means the next day I ate 3 pieces of pizza. I might as well eat a donut for breakfast. It's a ripple effect. So I think that, kind of like you said, if we look at that idea of deprived and not think about, I deserve a treat. Like I deserve the donut. Right. Sorry, I keep talking about donuts, but
you need donuts. I don't know.
I think that we condition ourselves to feel that way. Like these things are going to make us feel better. These things are going to make us happier. And sure, sometimes they will, and sometimes they are great. Sometimes they are going to lift our mood. Sometimes enjoying ice cream with your family is a great experience, but it doesn't always have to be something where if you say no to that, then that means you're deprived.
Right. And I would say two things with that feeling of deprivation is that you have to remember, one, that there are so many good alternatives now to treats, that if you are a treats person or whatever it may be, there are so many great alternatives that it can still fit within that healthy, quote unquote, healthy food category without it being all on the other side of the spectrum, like super unhealthy. So find those alternatives. I love like dairy-free ice cream. I found a chocolate that's made with oat milk. So if you need your treats, like there are recipes that can fit within, I'm going to say paleo, if that's paleo or keto or whatever it is, find your alternatives so you're not reaching for the stuff that's going to make you feel like crap. So that the majority of the time that if you want to indulge, you're indulging in a little bit better food than just like overdoing it, if that makes sense. So find your alternatives. I love my go-to alternatives. They make me feel like I'm getting a little something without binging. And then the second thing is that make sure you are eating enough calories during the day, that you are getting enough good food, because if you aren't fueling your body correctly, you will succumb to temptation and overindulge and reach for those really bad foods. So caring for your body and being healthy may also mean that you need to eat more of the good stuff so that you can combat the bad stuff.
I just think that this topic, there's so many directions to go with it, and there are so many different ways to eat. And when it comes down to it, sometimes I feel like we can find a way to simplify it, but it's going to be so individual for each person. So there's no one way to say, this is the simple way to do it. But what I do want to end with quickly is that a couple of resources. One, we will link the Faster Way to Fat Loss.
So I worked under a coach, which is really what helped me stick with it. And her name is Mallory Gray. And I have an affiliate link that I can give you that will send you to her registration for her rounds. She starts another round pretty soon, but she always has ongoing rounds, and they are 6 weeks. Do you have other resources that you want to plug into?
All I wanted to share is that I just got a new cookbook and I can't stop talking about it. So, it's called Instant Loss, and it has a lot of Instant Pot recipes, but it's not all Instant Pot. And I just love her, and I love her story. And the author is Brittany Williams. So that is just a resource that I am going to also link in the show notes. And I'll just link as much as I can possibly remember that we talked about. And that's really it. So I hope that this episode helped you feel less alone or helped give you some kind of direction if you are looking to pursue your health and fitness in some way.
Yeah, we're real people doing real battles with our health, and we're in the struggle with you, so we get it, and we want you to be as successful as we are trying to be.
Yeah, because we're definitely not like on the other side of it. I hope it doesn't come off like that, and I don't think it has. Yeah. so we're in it with you.
Oh my gosh.
All right, friend, I hope that this episode, this long discussion on health and fitness, was helpful to you in some way, whether it just made you feel less alone, whether it encouraged you to explore what would work for you. I am grateful if it has encouraged you. If you enjoyed this episode and Catherine and I's conversation, would you share this episode with a friend or share it on Instagram? So grateful for you whenever you do that. Helps invite more women into this community, which helps me be able to keep creating content. So I'm so grateful every time that you do that. Thanks again for being here, for listening in. A reminder that the things we mentioned can be found in the show notes. And I will talk to you right back here again next week.